settle down and watch StitchyTube. Hey guys, this is StitchyTube lucky number 6, and I'm glad to be back. It's been 2 weeks and I've gotten a lot done and I've had a great time and my life has been filled with cats. This is Fitz, he's so cute. Hey, Merry Christmas to y'all. It's the Christmas season, and of course that means that things are busy, things are crazy. Everybody's working on projects, everybody's shopping. We went to Walmart yesterday to get a few groceries, and that was a big old mistake because it was super busy, but people were in good spirits, except for our checkout guy who said he was miserable. But it's a great time of year. I enjoy Christmas. I'm lucky that I have so many members of my family and friends, you know, still with me. I still have my parents, and Steve still has his parents, and our kids are both living at home, and so it just feels like a great time to be part of a family. Everybody's getting along. So hello to you. I got my first stitchy sprinkles this last little bit of time. I had done one of my giveaways and homesteading on the home front in Guam. She has a channel, and I'll put a link below to her channel. She's got some really nice videos. She won one of my giveaways and then totally was not expecting anything in return, but she sent me a package from Guam, which was so nice. She sent me some orange teas, which of course, if you watched video number 1, you know I love orange tea. And she made me a needle minder, which is really, really cute. And it says bells on bobtail ring. And it's even got like a decorated back. Like, that's so cute. And so I actually am going to hang this on my fridge for now, because I'll enjoy it on my fridge as I go get cream and butter for my holiday baking. So thank you so much, homesteading. That was very, very sweet of you. Got a lot to share with you today. I wanted to start off, I like to kind of mix things up a little bit, so I'm not always doing things in the same order, but I had another list of 10, and I hope you like these. Last time I did, what did I do? 10 things you can do while stitching. Okay, so if you haven't seen it, go watch that video and you'll see what 10 things you can do while stitching. Today I thought I'd be a little silly and do a list of 10 things you never hear a stitcher say. And maybe you can think of some things too. And maybe I'm gonna say 10 things you almost never hear a stitcher say, because I probably have heard stitchers say a few of these things, but they're pretty few and far between. For example, number one thing that you never hear a stitcher say is, you know what? The picture on the front of that chart is just as pretty as the real finished piece. I saw the model in person, and the picture on the front of the chart absolutely does do the piece justice. Everybody's always saying, oh my gosh, you know, I saw the chart and I wasn't sure, but then I saw the model and it was so great. And and the covers can be lovely and the photography can be crystal clear, but it's never gonna look as beautiful on the cover of that, you know, flat, two-dimensional page as it does in person. Because when you think about it, needlework is three-dimensional. Even if you're just doing cross stitches, those stitches have depth to them, you know what I'm saying? And you get the play of light and just the color. And even if, I don't know if you've ever noticed, like if you carry a piece through your house, as the lighting changes, the way that you see the piece changes. It's almost like it's a living object. And so, of course, finished needlework is always going to be way prettier than any picture will ever be. Number 2 thing that you will never hear a stitcher say, I went to this needlework store, but you know what? I didn't really see anything that I wanted. I'm sure it's happened, but it's got to be rare, because even if you go into a needlework shop and it's not your taste of projects that you like to do, you're always going to see fabric, tools, threads, embellishments that you just think are really cool. Something else you never hear a stitcher say, number 3. You know what? I have exactly as many patterns as I will need to finish before I die. I'm going to get them all done, which is perfect. So I won't buy another pattern, because this is just going to sail me right on through to that day. We all know that we have many more patterns than we will ever finish, and that's okay. Number 4, I don't really like receiving, you know, handmade needlework as a gift. I love getting hand-stitched gifts, and I know y'all do too. And I think that you'll find that you know, when you give your needlework away, a lot of times the people who appreciate it the most are other stitchers, because they know the time and effort that goes into it, and they really do appreciate, you know, the beauty, the time, and the thought that goes into that, and the expense too, right, guys? Number 5 thing you never hear stitchers say: I've had way too much time to stitch lately. Right? I mean, can you ever have enough time to stitch? I could stitch all day. And then, you know, you get to that point where your eyes are starting to cross and you're getting tired and you're like, oh, come on, just the end of this thread. I can make it one more little piece. I finished every piece that I ever started. And I know that there are some of you out there who can say that, but not very many, because I think a lot of us, you know, you start pieces and they sit and you don't finish them and you give them away, or you, I've even heard of people throwing pieces away. That's just like, I don't want to do this. Number 7 thing that you never hear stitchers say is stitching totally stresses me out. I think most stitchers believe that needlework is very calming and that it's a, you know, almost a meditative practice, and that stitching is a peace finder. You know what I'm saying? It's a great thing to do to relieve stress. Number 8 thing you don't hear a stitcher say is, I don't really need to take any more classes. I already know how to do everything. And I know that too, there are going to be those of you out there who know how to do a lot. But even just in watching StitchyTube, you learn so many tips and tricks and neat techniques and ideas that really, could you ever know it all? I don't think so. Another thing you never hear a needleworker say is, my stitching friends just don't understand me. Because we know that if you have a stitching friend, and even you'll find here on StitchyTube or on Facebook, or if you're in other, like, you know, Instagram groups, that needleworkers seem to really get each other. We know, we understand the obsession, we understand the love of the craft. And I think too that we find a lot of similarities between and amongst ourselves, that we may have, you know, dissimilar personalities, and we may live in different parts of the world, but that needlework in a way binds us all together. When I first started my business, I think I used to sign a lot of things Sister in Stitches. And I would sign off emails that way too. People would, you know, write and ask me questions, and I would sign off Sister in Stitches. And I stopped using it after a while, and I wish I hadn't, because I think the sentiment is good, that in Stitches we are siblings, we are sisters, and we are brothers, because we share this common hobby and this love of needlework. Okay, the last thing that you never hear a stitcher say is, starting a new piece is so boring. I think most stitchers really love to start new pieces, don't you? There's just something exciting about finding the pattern and getting the threads and finding the fabric, and then just like, okay, sit down and you know, cut that first piece of thread and you get it in your needle and you're like, all right, here we go. And starting a new piece is really exciting, and stitchers oftentimes really, really love to start new pieces. What are some of the things you think you never hear a stitcher say? Fitz, don't even think about it. He's going to jump from the piano onto my pile of stuff. Leave it in the comments. But I think those are 10 things you never hear a stitcher say. Almost never. I always like reading your comments. Last time, the question for the giveaway was, if you could visit any point in time, when would it be? And wow, you guys just got so inspired. And I had so many comments of times and places that people would like to visit. And it really was fun to read through them. And I noticed there were, you know, some people said, I want to go back to the beginning of time. I want to go back to the time of Jesus and follow him. I want to go back to the 1800s, was very common. You know, some people got very specific, like I want to go to the 1950s and be there for my dad's birthday, or I want to go to the 1920s in Paris. And it was cool to read what kind of times people wanted to visit, you know, as just a dream. I don't know what time I would like to visit. I think there are a lot of really cool times in history. I am kind of enamored with Tudor England, and I think that it would be really cool to be able to see courtly life. I'm sure that was a very difficult time to live in, but it would be interesting for a week, I think. Okay, but there were also amongst the comments a couple of questions, and I always like to answer your questions. I try to respond to pretty much everybody's questions, comments, and other things. But there were a few questions I thought I'd answer here too. January Jill's Creative Life asked if there were charts for samplers a long time ago. How did stitchers who stitched these antique samplers that we have, how did they stitch off of charts? And they did eventually. You know, in the 1800s, there started to be, you know, more printed charts that people used. Until that time, people often worked samplers working from a sample. So the teacher of the sampler would have a piece that she had stitched, and the sampler stitcher would look at that and then stitch, and look at that and stitch. And so she almost used the completed sampler as if it was a chart. But there were times when artists would draw onto the needlework fabric itself. And so if you see tent stitch pictures, a lot of times of biblical scenes and things like that, they'll have, maybe I'll put a picture up here of what one of those looks like, just so you can see. But a lot of times those would be drawn onto the fabric by an artist, a skilled artist, and then the person would it would be almost like needlepoint, where you're filling in the lined areas. There also was a technique called pouncing. And so, and you can still find pouncing powder, and I think it would be really cool to do it. But they would get, you know, books were very treasured and very valuable, and it wasn't, printing got easier as time went on, but ladies would take books of, you know, botany or books with animals in them, and they would take a pin and they would poke tiny holes all along the edge of the picture, okay? So not, can you picture what I'm saying? Like just making almost like, think of a, you know, dot to dot, but it was with a pin around the edges of the picture. And then they would lay that picture on top of a piece of needlework, and they would put this pouncing powder over that and, you know, pounce it down with a brush. And this powder, this dark powder, would go into the holes and then create that exact outline on the fabric. And then they could fill it in that way too. But a lot of times, no, they weren't working with charts, you know, not until later anyway. So that's a good question. And that really is what we do. People who reproduce samplers, that's the way we're doing it, is we're stitching from a sample. You know, we have the original needlework and we're counting the stitches on that piece, putting them into a computer program, and then restitching them. So in a way, it's, you know, it's kind of like doing things the old-fashioned way. Country Stitcher said that she noticed that I had some pieces with glass and some pieces without, so she wanted to know what my opinions were on glass. Now, I have a long history of framing. I started picture framing at a chain called The Great Frame Up back in 1986. January of 1986 was my very first job. And I was 15, just almost 16. So it was my first real job. And so I framed for a long time. And I've kind of gone in and out of, you know, glass or no glass. I feel, so like if I'm going to take pieces to market, they're going to be models. I do no glass because they photograph much better without glass, and people at the needlework shows can see them much better without glass. And it can be tricky, you know, to travel with pieces with glass on it. It can be obviously dangerous. So no glass on those. Typically, my needlework that I do otherwise, I do no glass. Because like I said, I feel like you see the stitches a lot better, and it's not going to get necessarily, you know, real dirty just hanging on the wall. There have been times where I've just taken like a, you know, like a flour sack towel and just kind of brushed to just kind of get any dust off of the front of it. And you could use, you know, a gentle vacuum maybe or something. But if it's an antique, yes, I do put glass on it because it protects it, because the stitching is usually pretty brittle and old, and so you have to kind of keep it safe. And then anytime you do put glass on a piece, you need to use spacers. And you can ask your framer about spacers. There are different types of spacers. The ones I like are like I should have brought them, but it's just a plastic long square tube. It's not a tube, I guess. It's just a square of plastic that's real long and skinny. It's a square if you look at it from the end. And there's a sticker on one side. And so you just cut it with wire clippers, and you put it on the edges of your glass, and it creates a space between your glass and your needlework. Because a lot of times if you have the glass pressed right on top of the needlework, it can fog the glass. Moisture can get trapped in there, and it can kind of damage your needlework. And so it's best to have air in there to let your piece breathe. I do put glass in things. Some of my Christmas things I do because those go into storage. And so, you know, glass just kind of helps keep them a little bit more protected. When Harrison was little, I had a Mary Englebright Santa that I did. Maybe I'll show that next time, but a Mary Englebright, big, full coverage Mary Englebright Santa. Very, very pretty. And had it out hanging at Christmas, and he had one of those yogurt tubes, you know, the Go-Gurts. And I had snipped the top off, and he went like this. Like this. And yogurt went everywhere, and yogurt got all over that piece. So I had to take it apart, throw away the mat, wash the piece, and I put glass on that one. And I think I may take it off now because I don't have any Go-Gurt spillers here anymore, but usually I do no glass, but sometimes glass. Either way, it's okay. You know, whatever you like to do, you should do it that way. I would say if you're going to hang something somewhere where it could get messy, like in a kitchen or near a bathroom, or if you have a smoker in the home, I don't know, if you live next to a coal refinery, you know, there may be reasons that you would like to have glass on yours. And then just, you know, one tip I can give you as far as that is don't, if you're going to clean the glass, lay your piece down on a table and spray a little in the, you know, Windex or whatever in the middle, and then wipe it. Don't leave it hanging on the wall and spray it like this, because the drips will go down into the crack and then they can seep up into the needlework. And so just, you know, be careful when you're cleaning the glass. Okay, so that was a good question too. Poker Codes wanted to know, how do you pick a sampler to purchase? How long do you think about it? It depends. Sometimes I am on eBay and I see a sampler and it's like $25 and I'm like, sold, mine, because those don't hang around. So sometimes it's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time, and you know, you kind of got to think fast. Other times, you know, when I showed last time the Sarah Woodham sampler. So go watch, you know, video number 5 if you'd like to see that. Beautiful sampler, beautiful verse. Knew that I wanted it right away because I loved the verse. But I emailed back and forth with Madalena in the UK asking questions about it. And I think I did put that one on layaway for a while. So it took a little longer to get. It just really depends. This one, this one was a buy it like right now, because I found it on eBay. It was $300, but it's really lovely. And it was kind of an instant. Sometimes you'll find somebody where they found one at an estate sale. They didn't really know what they had. And they just put it up as a buy it now. And they're probably making, you know, more than they thought they would get. But sometimes, you know, they're really underpriced. And so it just depends. It depends on the samplers. A lot of times I know there definitely have been many where it was like, oh, I would love that one, but I cannot afford it. But, you know, it just depends. It just depends. You got to get those deals when you can. You know how it is. Okay, so like I said, last time I had a giveaway. I've given away a pack of Thread Heaven and my Sarah Woodham chart. And I asked you all to comment on places and times that you would like to visit in history. And the winner of the giveaway is Kawoo 43, C-A-W-O-O-O 43. And that person said, I would love to visit Paris in the 1920s. And so Kawoo just messaged me here on YouTube, and send me your address, and I will pop your chart and your Thread Heaven in the mail. And congratulations to you. That's awesome. I will be doing a giveaway this video too, and I'll show that in a little bit. Okay. What am I all into? Everybody waits for the what am I into section, and I'm into a lot of things, and I share a few every week. Right now, of course, that it's Christmas season, I'm all into Christmas music, and we've started playing it at the store on campus, which is great. And it's really a good mix of anything from, like, you know, classics to, you know, 1980s to modern day. You got Michael Bublé, you got Bing Crosby, you got Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer, which is not my favorite, but, you know, you try to get in the spirit. I was singing it loudly the other day as work was ending, and it was kind of fun. So I'm all into Christmas music right now, and I know a lot of you probably are too. I thought I'd share a few of my favorite Christmas CDs that I play. We've collected a good number of them over the years. Every year I open the CD drawer to pull out Christmas, and the stack gets bigger and bigger. One that I don't have an actual physical CD of that I downloaded was the soundtrack to White Christmas with Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye and Rosemary Clooney and that other lady, I can't remember her name. Great soundtrack. it took me a long time to find it, and I never could find it, and I never could find it. And you could find some songs, but not all of them. You know, like Sisters, Sisters, never were there such devoted sisters. And Snow, Snow, Snow. And I wanted those songs. And so I found it on iTunes probably 6 or 7 years ago. And it's a great CD. What I did learn is that there was some kind of like a contract dispute with Rosemary Clooney, and they were not allowed to use her voice in the soundtrack. So they replaced her with somebody else for the soundtrack, which is a little disappointing because she has such a lovely voice, and I'm sad that you can't listen to the songs that way. But it's still fun to listen to Danny Kaye sing about choreography. Great. Download it if you haven't. It's a great movie, super great movie, and a great soundtrack. John Denver and the Muppets, Christmas Carol. I'm a child of the 70s and early 80s. And so, of course, the Muppet Show was awesome. Loved the Muppet Show. And this is a really nice little Christmas album. They have a version of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas with John Denver and Jim Henson, who, of course, are both now not with us anymore. And it's very sweet, and it makes me get a little teary sometimes because it's just very nice. And it's a great, some of the songs are kind of silly, and a lot of the songs are just very sweet and sentimental, and it's a great CD. I got this originally at Hallmark, the James Taylor Christmas album. It came out one year, and it was like, if you spend $20 at Hallmark, you can buy this album only at Hallmark for $5. And then later, I think they did release this where you could just buy it other places too. And I like James Taylor, and it's a very nice, nice arrangements, and just nice, quiet versions of a lot of great old Christmas songs. I even don't mind Baby It's Cold Outside, which is one of my least favorite Christmas songs, but it's nice. Auld Lang Syne is very nice on that one too. But anyway, this is a great one. I would highly recommend it. Gotta go back to Barbra Streisand's Christmas album. We used to listen to this one on Mom and Dad's record player all the time back in the 70s. And her version of Jingle Bells is amazeballs. It's amazing. She sings it really fast. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is you ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, jingle bells, jingle all the way. You gotta listen to Barbara. She's great. Nat King Cole, the Christmas song. Who had a lovelier voice than Nat King Cole? He was a great singer. I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking about him. Really, I listen to the CD pretty much every day at this time of year. It's beautiful, 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 beautiful. And his version of the Christmas song, of course, is the quintessential version of that song. I feel like a lot of times, you know, there get to be new Christmas albums, and it's like, oh, what does it sound like when Tears for Fears sings Christmas? And what does it sound like when Britney Spears does Christmas? And it's just, to me, it's like Christmas karaoke, where it's like, okay, you know, that's them singing the song. But I feel like some people put together albums and they just nail it. Like, they do interesting arrangements. They don't try to do anything fancy. A lot of times the original, you know, versions of things are among the best. Speaking of originals, Vince Guaraldi, Christmas album by from A Charlie Brown Christmas, which is a classic, beautiful, jazzy Christmas album. If ever I'm playing this song and someone's over there like, what is this? It's like, yeah, everybody likes this one. It's very, very sweet and very nice to listen to. And some of the songs, I mean, I guess if you've watched the show, you're like, oh yeah, this is Christmassy. But some of them are, you know, just kind of instrumentals. But Vince was such an accomplished musician and such a unique arranger and composer, and it's just a very enjoyable little CD. I've actually had to replace this. Eventually, the one that we had just wouldn't work anymore. We wore it out. I didn't know you could wear out a CD, but we did, so I had to buy it again. Two more. Chieftains, Bells of Dublin. Chieftains are, you know, kind of an Irish, like traditional Irish band, group of musicians. And they always, you know, do things with artists. Like, I know Elvis Costello's on this one. I'm trying to think of who else is. they've got Nancy Griffith is in one of these. Jackson Brown is in one of these. But some of them are instrumentals. Some of them are songs. Some of them are ones that you know, and some of them are ones that you don't know. But it's a fabulous, fabulous album, especially if you like Irish music. And who can't like Irish music? It's so much fun to listen to, and it would be such fun to dance to. But The Chieftain, Bells of Dublin. That's a great one. Okay, last one, and this is one I got more recently, but it is, some of the CDs in here are 15 years old at least, I think. Sufjan Stevens, Songs for Christmas. And these are a little more, what do I want to say? They're like new folk. So they're kind of hipstery, which is okay because I like hipsters. I think hipsters are cool. And so some of the songs, again, these are songs, some of them you'll know, some of them you don't know. There are actually 5 discs, and you get stickers. You get Christmas stickers in with this too. I know I had this on my Amazon list a few years ago, and I'm sure you can probably still get it on Amazon. This would make a great gift for one of your hipsters on your list. It's very pretty music, very well arranged, very simple. Sometimes I feel like simple things are the best. You know what I mean? Like lately I've been into really good bread with butter. Toasted bread with butter. Simple is great. And this is simple. This is like really good toasted bread with butter. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so that's what I'm all into. I'm into colored lights on the tree. And so my mom a couple days ago was like, so have you guys put up your Christmas tree yet? And I said, well, sort of. The boys went into the attic and got the tree down. And we just leave the lights on it because we're lazy, I guess. I hate putting the lights on. You get all scratched up. And so, you know, the tree gets all mushed and the lights are on it. And so they dragged it out of the attic and just like plopped it on the floor and plugged it in. And only the bottom row was working. And they were like, okay. So a couple days ago, I took all the lights off and fluffed all the branches so the tree looked pretty again. And this really is going to be our last Christmas with this tree because the cats have just murdered it. I had to try to weave some of the branches together so they would stay straight because they just get in there and they lay on a branch and it just slowly, you know, dips down. So this tree is on its last Christmas. It's going to be last Christmas with this tree, but I found out like half of the strands of lights weren't working. I had, you know, like 1 blinking strand of white, 4 strands of white, 3 strands of white, and then a multicolored. It was just like a mishmash of lights. I have no idea what we were doing. So Graham and I went to Hobby Lobby yesterday. And I said, oh, as long as we're here, let's look and see if they had lights. And they did, and they were half off, which was great. But all they had left was red or multicolored. So I said, I left it up to Graham. I said, what do you think? Red or multicolored? And he said, let's go multicolored. So we went multicolored. And I like it. You know, I think for the last probably 15 or 20 years, we've gone mostly white, which is very pretty. And it's kind of neutral. But it's kind of fun to have, you know. I'll maybe show you next week because the tree's not totally done yet. I got to get a couple more strands. I have 6 strands of lights on the tree, which is 600 lights. And I still have the 2 bottom layers to do. So I got to go back and get some more lights. But multicolored lights, why not? You know what? Brighten up your Christmas. I'm all into 40 count linen. My friend Kathy and I were talking about it this week, and I don't remember what we were saying, but Kathy was just like, you know what, anymore, I just like 40 count linen. And I was like, you know what, me too. I love 40 count linen. And I'll show you some pieces that I'm working on, but there's just something about like working with 1 strand that is so easy. Things don't get twisted. The coverage is perfect. Stitches look so pretty when they're little. That I just love 40 count. And remember, I sew. I use the sewing method. And I can still do that on 40 count. Where I like the way things look when they're stitched over 1, but you can't use the sewing method with that. You have to poke and stab. Otherwise, they slide under and it doesn't look good. So 40 count linen, I'm all into it. If you haven't tried it, don't say you can't. Because I can't see to cut my fingernails anymore even. And I just these are, I think, are +3 or +3.5. And I use them and I can see the 40 count perfectly well. There are glasses out there that will allow you to see on 40 count, most of you, I would say, and give it a try. Things look beautiful. Think about it this way. Your framing gets cheaper because your piece gets smaller, so your frame can get smaller. And so that just means you can fit more on your wall, right? And they're so beautiful done on 40 count. Okay, last thing that I'm all into is, I mentioned went to Hobby Lobby. I'm into this wrapping paper that I found at Hobby Lobby. Let me just, it is, oop, it's upside down. It's Christmas music wrapping paper. And here's the deal. I like wrapping paper. I'm kind of a wrapping paper. My mom is the queen of wrapping paper. She has way more wrapping paper than she will ever use in her lifetime. But, you know, at the end of the season, when wrapping paper is half, it's just like, you're like, oh, this is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. And you find sometimes where it looks like a sweater or it looks like cross stitching. I had one last year that looked like Christmas stamps. That was so pretty. I like paper that's thick. I like paper where the printing is really nice. You know, sometimes you get those cheaper papers and the colors are like they look kind of cheap and they're kind of misprinted a little bit. But anyway, this was on sale at Hobby Lobby, $4 for a whole bunch. It's a big, I don't remember how, it's like a heavy roll of paper. And it's, like I said, it's music, which if you have musicians in your family, this would be perfect. My son Harrison is a musician, and I think I will use this to wrap his gifts. But then I said to Graham, should we get this wrapping paper? I really like it. And he said, yeah, okay. And I said, well, I could wrap all of Harrison's presents in that. And he goes, I think I'm going to wrap all my presents in that, meaning what he's giving to other people. I said, oh, really? I said, why? And he goes, I just like the way it looks. So he liked it too. But, so not only is it thick, not only is it nice printing, not only is it kind of a neat paper that you could do different colors of ribbon with, but it's got these lines, the cutting lines on it, which is really nice. So my Hobby Lobby had lots of it. I try not to look at wrapping paper too long because it can get out of control. But I did get tape because we were almost out of tape, and I need to get more. I just learned that I'm down to my last few stickers, like, you know, gift stickers. So I'm gonna have to run and get a few more of those too. Okay. Anyway, that's what I'm all into. That's what I'm all into this week. Okay, not a lot left. A little bit left. I'm going to talk about my giveaway now. I'm doing a giveaway. I do giveaway every video. Don't say giveaway in the comments. But, you know, it's Christmas time. I like to pass around the goodness. I'm going to send out to some lucky person one of my charts. It's called Jenny Bean's Christmas. And it says, and had I but 1 penny, thou shouldst have it to buy gingerbread. And I think it's Shakespeare. I think that's a line from Shakespeare. I want to say it is. But anyway, it's a pretty little chart. It was fun to stitch. It doesn't take very long. And I have no idea where the model is. I looked for it recently and it's somewhere. I don't know. And then in addition to this, I got this lovely hand-dyed linen called Christmas Gold from a Ukrainian fabric dyer on eBay. Anyway, she does really cool fabric, and I bought a bunch of her fabrics, but I thought it would be fun to share the wealth. Christmas Gold, it's a lovely, you know, like 677, 676 kind of range of gold, and it's very nice. It's a whole 1/4 yard of Zweigert-based 32 count linen called Christmas Gold. And in the comments, why don't you all tell me what your favorite Christmas song is, since we've been talking about Christmas music. What is your favorite Christmas song? I really do like the Christmas song by Nat King Cole. I would say that's got to be among my very favorites. Least favorites, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. 12 Days of Christmas gets pretty old. You know, I like to listen to, you know, Bing Crosby's Christmas music, and Frank Sinatra's got a bunch of really great Christmas music. We have a bunch of CDs, but I would say the Christmas song, that's my favorite. Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire. That's just nice. It's just nice. I'll Be Home for Christmas is nice too. That's a little weepy, isn't it? Okay, guys, you are not going to believe this. I had three finished pieces since the last time I talked to you. And that's, I think, pretty flippin' amazing. So, I'm going to share them with you. Remember I said I was all into sparkles and I wanted to do some beading, and I had this little Mill Hill kit. Well, I finished it, and it was so fun. Kind of get the glimmer of the beads. Shiny. Hold it up so you can see. Isn't that cute? And I finished it just like a little pin keep. I didn't have much fabric. That was it's a pretty bright little piece. I had these polka dots, which I thought was cute. And I bought these pins. These are just pins. At Hobby Lobby last week to do the edging with, and I thought they would kind of look like little snowballs or little, you know, lights or whatever. But this was super fun to do. It's a little Mill Hill kit. There's lots and lots of beads on it, as you can see. Gumdrops and the little gingerbread man. And it's just stitched in DMC. The kits come with everything you need, even this little clay button here. And that was a really fun project. I had not done some beading for quite some time. And it really was fun and different. And I really, really like it. I like it. And that one's just for me. Not giving that one away. I finished this one, Grateful, Thankful, Blessed by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. Picked the frame up yesterday, did the stretching last night. And it's framed pretty tight. I wanted a 1/2 inch total left between the frame and the edge of the stitching. And so that there would really be like 1/4 inch of the fabric showing, because I like to frame things these days pretty tight. But this fabric, which was a 36 count picture this plus, really stretched a lot when I was stretching it. And so it came right out to the edge, which is fine. I like it. And this was fun to do. I think it's really cute. I picked out a burl frame, which has got kind of these chunks, you know, where the burl overlaps each other. And it was not terribly expensive. The supplies, I think the frame and the foam core was $30, something like that. Cut to size. Took just a couple days for them to get my frame in. And I really like it. It's got like this little bit of a kind of a coppery gold edge on the inside. And I think it's really pretty. It was a fun piece to do. I really liked this piece because of this thing up here. And I think this would make a really cute ornament or just kind of a separate little pin cushion or something. But it's very cute. And I think she would be a cute little fob, wouldn't she? But that was fun to do. Highly recommend it. If you want to get that chart, I know my friend Jennifer has it on her website at Jen's Stitching Niche, and I'll put a link down there. You can find it there. Okay, Jen, if you're watching, stop watching, and you can watch the end of this video some other time, because I'm going to show your Christmas present that's finished. So stop watching right now, and I'm not going to say anything else interesting, so you're fine. Okay, now that Jennifer's gone, I'm going to show off her beautiful Christmas gift. Isn't it nice? And Heaven and Nature Sing by Kathy Barrick, and you can get this in Kathy's Etsy store. There are companion pieces to this. This is my favorite of the 3, and it was really fun to do. I stitched it on a 40 count fabric, I think that I had left over from Green Mountain hand-dyed linen. So this fabric is a good 15 to 20 years old. And it was an open weave fabric. It was a very loose 40 count, so it wasn't as Weigert. And so one of the things I had to do when I framed this was I got a piece of mat board that was about the color of the fabric and put it underneath, because otherwise the you know, almost white foam core really made the piece look kind of washed out and shiny, or you know, just made it look kind of washed out. And also it kind of hides your threads too when you're not a neat stitcher, but I think it's very pretty. I liked it, and I was, you know, I worked on it, and then I started adding in these tiny little cardinals. And as soon as I started putting little cardinals in, I was like, okay, I love this. The cardinals, for some reason, it was like, that was the deal. That was the deal sealer. I did add the year here that I stitched it. It says 1827, but I stitched it in 2017. And this is kind of a cool frame too. It's kind of got almost like a coppery sheen to it as well. And I liked the stripiness with the stripiness of the deer. I stitched the deer, that's the only part of it I stitched in over-dyed threads. The rest I just stitched in the DMC. I didn't stitch each cross stitch at a time. I just stitched back and forth, and I still got this real heathered look to the deer, which I like. Anyway, that's what it is, and I think it's very pretty, and I hope she likes it. I hear that she's finishing my gift too, so that's going to be awesome. Okay, let's talk about whips. Let's talk about a couple of whips. It's fun to finish 3 things in a short amount of time. I feel like I just have gotten a lot done. So then I dug through my stuff, and I realized I had other Christmas things that were almost done. I have this little piece, You Are My Warm and Cozy, that is so close to done. I took a class with Amy Brookin at the Silver Needle for a summer retreat, and we actually got to paint the frames too, do the polka dot frames. And I'm almost done. Like, it's ridiculous how close I am to done. Really, all I have to do is outline the star, put the nose on, and then there's this little, this is that DMC wire thread that you put here. I don't think I'm going to put this little triangle down here. It just seems extraneous. Anyway, so I'm going to finish that one up because it's really just going to take a couple, you know, just like half an hour to finish that one up. So I need to go, go, go. And then another thing that I pulled out is, you've probably seen this, it's Prairie Schoolers Songs of the Season. This is a chart from 1999, so it's an almost 20-year-old chart. And they're really cute. I started this, I think, 2 years ago on just a scrap of 40-count Lakeside linens that I had. And I've got Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly, and I was going to do 2 other songs on either side of it. And I may still do that, or I may not. I don't know. But I'm stitching some of it in the DMC, but this green was a hand-dyed, just limited edition thread that I had from something. It doesn't have a name on it, so I don't know what it is. It's not as dark as the DMC would have been, so I don't know if I like it 100%, but I do like it. I'm just gonna like it. I do like it, and it's gonna be very cute. So I pulled both of those out because those are both very close to being done. Those are my whips. I have a little bit of a stash flash, not too much. I have a couple things I forgot to show you in weeks past, and I got one thing yesterday. And I got yesterday at Hobby Lobby one of these Omnigrid things. And I have a couple of these that are small. Like I think I have one that's like, you know, 12 inches. But I really would like to start making project bags. I watch all these stupid videos and you guys make these bags and they're so stinking cute. And then I'm like, I could do that. I could make bags. I have fabric. So I've bought some zippers and I bought some interfacing and I have thread and I have lots of fabric. I have cool fabrics. But, and I have a cutting, you know, like I have the mat, the cutting mat, and I have the rotary cutter. So I have a lot of supplies, but I used to have a 24-inch Omnigrid and I somehow broke it at some point. And you know how it goes? Like, I think, you know, even people who are not frugal will at times find themselves to try to be frugal. And I was like, you know what? I could still use the pieces of this. So I had like, it was like cracked like at an angle, and I was, you know, I would use parts of it, but I eventually was just like, you know what, Teresa, just throw it away. It's broken. I don't know, you know, many of you know a lot about Buddhism, but there's this concept in Buddhism of the cup is broken. And a lot of times, you know, you lose something or something breaks or something wears out, and there's just this sadness. The first video I did of I'm All Into, I showed you a set of 3 cups that I used to drink tea out of that were from Starbucks. My husband broke one 2 days ago. He dropped it. And my heart went, and then I went, you know what? It's okay. Because eventually you have to know that everything will wear out. Everything will die. Everything will break. And so you just have to enjoy the time that you have with something. So I enjoyed that cup. And I'm a little sad that I don't have it anymore, but I still have the other 2 in the set. And eventually, in time, that cup was going to break. Or I was going to lose it, or I would die, and I wouldn't, you know, take it with me, that kind of thing. So you just have to know that everything has a life expectancy. And my Omnigrid, it was dead. I had broken it, and it just was not super functional. So used my little, if you download the Hobby Lobby app, they have a 40% coupon you can use once a day. And I used my 40% off coupon and I bought myself a new one of these. And so darn it, I am gonna try to make project bags. I found a few tutorials. I watched all 2 hours of Primitive Stitchers, which is great. I watched Kindred Stitchers, you know, 24-minute tutorial, which was great. I found another one that was done by a quilter, which was great. And I'm kind of just gathering ideas because I think I'm gonna try to incorporate some of the different techniques into my own technique of making the bag, things to make it easy for me to do, and we'll see how it comes out. But I'm excited to try zippers. If I've ever done zippers, it's been a while. I think I maybe sewed in a few zippers when I was young, like a teenager, but it's been that long. So I'm a little nervous about zippers, but really you just got to think about it. It's just trim, right? It's just a type of trim. That's all it is. How amazing is this? I got a copy. I thought they were sold out, and I found a shop that still had a copy, and I bought it. I was like, please, please, please send it to me. Hands Across the Sea samplers. This was a limited run, and it's 2 samplers, the Uffendale sisters. And the cool thing is that I didn't realize, I've seen a couple of other people talk about the book. It's right side up this way, and then her sampler is charted right side up this way. You know what I mean? So like half the book from this direction is upside down. There's a great history lesson about that part of the world and in that period of time. There are great pictures of the original samplers. Here, look at this lovely part of the sampler. How pretty is that? How pretty is that? So glad I got a copy, so thankful. I really, really like this basket with the checkers. And this area is just so pretty. But it's amazing samplers, so pretty. Love it, love it, love it. Happy, happy, happy. Glad to have it. Do keep an eye on Hands Across the Sea. They have lovely sampler reproductions. I have a piece of theirs that I'm working on with a big bee skep in the middle that's so pretty. And you can find them online. There are some shops here in the States that carry them, and I would recommend their charts. They're lovely, very well done, and very well worth the investment. They are charts that even if you never stitch them, you will look at them again and again. I got this is my last stash flash, and I got this a couple of weeks back. I have looked at this chart. Okay, so I bought this chart for my sister-in-law a number of years ago. She and my brother got engaged the night that they went to see the Nutcracker a long time ago. And so the Nutcracker was always real meaningful to them. You know, like they just, you know, exchange Nutcracker themed things and go see the Nutcracker sometimes. And so I had bought her this chart, and I think she stitched a few of them, and I don't know if she still has the chart, but I never got the chart. And the chart came out in 1996, which was the year right before I opened my first shop, my online shop. And always liked it. It was one that sold out, and I had never gotten a copy. And then I looked and looked, and I've looked on eBay for years, and you always see them. And, you know, it was always $20, $20, $20, $20. They always sell for $20. And finally, I just was like, you know what, Teresa, just buy one. And so I've, you know, for $19.50 or something, I finally got my own copy of the Nutcrackers. And of course, they'll probably re-release this next month. And that's fine. I don't care. I'm glad to have it. It's a really, really cute chart. Maybe I'll stitch one this week. Which one would I do? I don't know. I like the Noah's Ark one, but I kind of like the chimney sweep one too. But they're very cute. So this is not one that's in print, but you can find it on eBay sometimes, and I'm happy to have that. So that's my stash flash. And I think that's about all I've got to talk about today. Cats are all good. Family's good. Graham had a few fillings this week. My husband was diagnosed with sleep apnea, finally, after years of snoring and not sleeping well. He went for a sleep study a couple of weeks ago, and he went for his, you know, kind of diagnosis thing on Friday night with the new CPAP machine, which is really small and quiet. Like, it's just tiny, and it's super quiet. But they said that he had had 2 to 3 minutes of deep sleep the night that they did the study. That's not enough restorative sleep. So I think once he gets used to the machine, he's going to be sleeping lots better and feeling lots better too. So that's really good. But we're all very excited for Christmas. It's just going to be the 4 of us here. I bought a turkey. We may have turkey again, I think. I always make wassail. And we have talked about making some like homemade eggnog, which I don't know if we'll do that. But I'm going to make some cookies this week, and I may go to Jen's this afternoon to do some stitching. And we've talked about making a video this afternoon too, so you might get 2 videos from me this week. But I just want to say thanks for watching. I want to say thank you for your kind comments. You guys are so nice and sweet, and it makes me smile when you guys are happy about something I said, or that you say something nice about me. I really do appreciate that. You're very, very sweet. And I hope that this season is nothing but wonderful for you. I know this time of year is really difficult for a lot of people. If you've lost somebody, or, you know, you're away from people that you love, it's hard. And hopefully, you know, you'll feel a certain sense of warmth in just knowing that the world is full of good people. I think a lot of times we focus on just, you know, how the world is falling apart and things aren't okay and people are mean and people are bad and bad things happen, but there really is so much good in the world. And there's so much love and so much joy and so much beauty. And, you know, even if you spend Christmas Day with your needlework, I hope that you really can just enjoy the quiet time that you have, the contemplative nature of it, and, you know, really just find that restfulness of spirit and comfort that eludes a lot of us a lot of the time, I think. So anyway, that's all for now. Bye-bye.